विजय जी, my video is started.
आ गए
ठीक है. Now we are on stage. Please start. They start. We are on. Yeah.
Shall we start?
Yes.
Good evening, friends. Thank you for coming online for this wonderful topic of the world of Rotary supporting the environment through EmeraldPlanet TV. I welcome our speaker, today's speaker, Rotarian Dr. Samuel Lee Hancock, the MD of EmeraldPlanet TV, USA. I welcome all the dignitaries who have come here today and attended this online club meeting. Thank you, Dr. Samuel. Thank you, Deepak Rajesh, Rotarian President George, Jayashree Mohanty ji, all the dignitaries who are here, my club members, along with PGD Robert, Sylvia. I thank you all. We will start today with the 4-way test. May I please ask Santosh Kadam to recite the 4-way test.
Yeah, thank you, President. This is Santosh Kadam, past President of RC Thane Royals. And the 4-way test is of the things we think, say, and do. First one, is it the truth? Second one, is it fair to all concerned? And third one, will it build goodwill and better friendship? Finally, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, President.
Thank you, IVP Santosh. I now request Rotarian Sandeep Dhotre to please introduce the speaker. Over to you, Sandeep. Sandeep, unmute yourself.
Thank you, President Tej. I take the honor of introducing our today's guest speaker, Dr. Hancock. Dr. Hancock is a President and Executive Director of EmeraldPlanet International Foundation, also known as EmeraldPlanet, and EmeraldPlanet Television Productions, with its headquarters and television production studio in Washington, D.C., USA. EmeraldPlanet is a non-profit organization founded in 1973, dedicated to sustainable environment and economic development in 144 nations, 750 cities, and some 50,000 communities around the globe. This effort is identifying sustainable economic and environmental best practices around the globe and linking leaders with green technologies, services, and products to those in need around the globe. Such linkages are created, supported, and expanded by weekly simulcast television programs to 2,095 stations and around United Nations states and 214 countries and territories overseas by the internet, cable television channels, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and various other social networking sites, along with features through local, national, and international radio broadcasts, billboards, including various print-based media. Dr. Hancock is invited to and participates in United Nations conferences, seminars at United Nations headquarters in USA, in New York, USA, UNESCO, United Nations Economic and Social Council, and was an official delegate at the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Dr. Hancock is providing professional services on creation of the agenda for the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development in the areas of sustainable food, clean water, sanitation, and energy production in both developed and emerging market nations, including scalable small to medium-sized enterprises. Dr. Hancock is also president of Hancock International Global Investments and Exports. His activities include identifying, organizing, coordinating, managing, and evaluating the work of international project teams, technical specialists, manufacturers, and funding sources for projects, systems evaluations, statistical quality control, total quality management, ISO standards, certifications, etc. Hancock International is specializing in entry strategies, government relations, investments, joint ventures, marketing, advertising, and training translations for the Far East, Eurasia, Middle East, Africa, etc. Dr. Hancock has earned doctorate in management with special concentrations in international economics, management information systems, political science and leadership from Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, Virginia, Blacksburg, Virginia, USA. He is a certified professional manager through the Institute of Certified Professional Managers, Harrisonburg, Virginia, USA. Dr. Hancock provides consulting, speaking, and short-term courses and seminar offerings around the globe. Having lived, worked, and traveled in 97 countries, he is also providing educational courses and on-site management for leadership, supply chain, operational systems, financial resources, promotions, public relations, strategic business resources, public administration, project development, among other skill building and management services for such domestic and international enterprises. With that introduction, I now request Dr. Hancock to take over the affairs. Take over to start his speech.
Okay, I think we're ready to go. VJ, past president of your club, thank you for allowing me to be here. And we met through Abuja, Nigeria. So the world of Zoom and the world of Rotary meets during this coronavirus pandemic. And so thank you for letting me be here. Let me see if I can get my screen up here.
Yes, sir.
This is some contact information about us. But thank you for letting me be here in your Rotary District 3142. It's amazing how many clubs you have, over 90, 3,400 members in your district. And then your Rotary Club, the Rotary Club of Thane Royals, seems to be very, very active. And VJ is certainly showing the banner for your club and your district all across the globe. And that's allowed me to be here with you today. My contact information is here, and at the end, we'll be able to put that information back up, particularly the email and the phone number through WhatsApp, because we're very interested. We provide at no cost as a public service television interviews all across the globe. And the purpose of that is to allow others to learn about the best practices, the solutions that really do exist. India has thousands of these, and I've been around your country now four times, almost completely. Beautiful country, very interesting activities going on within India, and a number of best practices that actually, if you would see my urban forest in Washington, D.C., one of your practices of planting trees, I'm actually using here in Washington, D.C. at this time. And so I'm retraining the arborist crews, the ones that plant the trees, to use a technique I saw in India near Pune. And so we're taking ideas around the globe. But we have the EmeraldPlanet International Foundation, which is a officially approved 501c3 in the United States. And then out of that came the EmeraldPlanet TV 12 years ago. So we're now in our second decade, and we've now produced about 2,900 different television shows, and that's over 700 different programs, all in the green space. And again, we do this as a public service at no charge. But we're always looking for new talent. So about us, we started many years ago looking around the globe during the first Arab oil embargo. And through that, it's allowed us to travel now to 98 different countries. My last country was Spain, so I have to revise my background. But our goal, and you'll see that shortly, is that to visit every country and territory on the planet to highlight the best practices there, share those best practices around the globe because as we say, if someone sees it, it could be possibly adopted in 10,000 different communities all over the planet. And that's very important because many times there's best practices in the same block, across the street, in the same city, but people don't know about it. So through the EmeraldPlanet TV, that allows us to share this information with everyone else. The Emerald Trek is a very ambitious program, and that's why I've been able to live, work, study, and report from 98 different countries physically, and also we've covered 103 different countries on the EmeraldPlanet TV. And the Emerald Track, let me put the worldwide map here. This is in no way complete. You can see it's quite ambitious. And with the coronavirus, we've not been able to do that. But what we're organizing now is what we're calling the Emerald Virtual Trek. And we are going to start at the Arctic Zone and then move systematically all the way to Cape Town, South Africa, and go across the European Union into the Middle East, African continent, and then move and finish up in Asia and then Latin America. And that will just about be the 214 different countries and territories that we have targeted. We don't believe it's ever been done before as far as the magnitude of what it is we're doing. And we think this trek, if we do it continuously, will take about 5 years to complete. And what we want to do is we want to be broadcasting at least 4 TV shows, every day, 7 days a week, if at all possible, because there's, the planet is going from 7 billion to 9 billion people. The specialists at the United Nations report by 2038. So we need to get very busy in sharing these best practices. One of the projects we're very proud of, and this is something that directly relates both to India across your whole country, Nigeria, and the other 211 different countries, is without power, we really can't have peace, and without power, in many places, we do not have water, and we're not able to provide education, healthcare, transportation, all the other types of projects we need. And so what we've looked at is a number of different technologies that actually already exist, proven technologies, fairly inexpensive. Most of these are actually portable and can be brought in and set up. Some of these systems that you see here actually can be fully operational in 30 to 60 minutes. And all of a sudden you have telecommunications, being able to pump water, provide lighting within local communities, and to bring about a higher standard of living for the some 1 billion plus people who do not have adequate water. And there's about 3.5 billion people who do not have adequate sanitation or processing of solid waste. And so the various technologies that we've identified are available across the globe. What you see here in these photographs are all actually been either on the African continent or in Southeast Asia. You can see the houseboat that's actually in Vietnam with the solar panels on top, and that's actually a school on the river. These other projects, as you can see, many are tied to water, but also some of these are dual use projects where you're actually pumping water and you're providing local telecommunications, internet, or linking to the satellites to download and bring the information from around the world into these many times very remote villages or more isolated towns. In the upper corner there, you see that small pumper. That'll provide anywhere from 500 to 1,000 gallons, which is roughly what 4,000 liters a day of pure water. And so many of these technologies are very viable. The one photograph I want to point out is in the lower center of this slide. This is actually on the African continent. The solar panels are on the local community farmers market, and there's about 50 different small businesses, most of them by females, and charging batteries, charging cell phones, providing pure water, providing ice, which is lacking in many countries and millions of communities around the globe. Ice is a precious commodity, but you can see here there's no grid, yet many of these houses actually do have electrical power because the solar panels on top of the community market. But we constantly are looking for technologies that we can feature on the EmeraldPlanet TV like these that are small, inexpensive, very portable, easy to provide services, and at the same time are readily available. And many of these manufacturers, a lot of this equipment is made and designed in the United States, but they're actually looking for countries where they can set up their manufacturing facilities and train local labor to be involved in this. So this could be adapted more to the countries, like in India or Nigeria, the other countries around the globe. And this would provide thousands of potential new businesses, green businesses, as we call them, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of new jobs, and also technology transfer that would be very helpful to local communities. This is a concept. This is called the Emerald Mall, and our Emerald Mall will be virtual, but it's kind of difficult to see what a mall looks like. So this is a classical mall that you would see around different parts of the United States. But what we want to do is to allow manufacturers, designers, research institutes, even universities or trade schools that are manufacturing or providing very specialized products, technologies, processes through the Emerald Mall, and then they can provide their goods and services around the globe through the platform that we want to have on the EmeraldPlanet, and then also feature these same technologies on the EmeraldPlanet TV. The one great innovation is the EmeraldPlanet TV. I've been traveling around the globe. Actually, in the computer I have in front of me that I'm communicating with, there are 94,000 contacts in virtually every country and territory on the planet. And yet I met these people, or I've spoken to them, or somehow have some interaction, but there's no way that you would know about them unless I could actually get this information out there. So 12 years ago, we started the EmeraldPlanet television. This was something that we had been thinking about for a decade earlier. And a friend of mine who is a Rotarian in the Christchurch Rotary Club in New Zealand, who comes to visit me about every 6 months in Washington, D.C. And I was telling him that we wanted to start our trek and make our own biodiesel fuel as we're traveling. And he says, you need to start doing that now in the United States, where it'll be easier. But the inspiration was I needed to start the EmeraldPlanet TV and stop waiting and just do it. And within 5 days, a gentleman called me and said, I have the executive producer that's going to produce your television program, and we had not even discussed it. And so he was, divine providence inspired him to call me, introduce me to the gentleman. We started on the 21st of June, 2009, and now we're almost over 2,900 different shows. And I'm going to share some of those with you so you can see them. And of course, the first one, and we're going to be working with the RCATS, which is the Rotary Climate Action Team that's now being supported through Rotary International. And this is the latest focus as far as Rotary International is concerned, supporting the environment. And we had a small part to play in that. But this particular RCAT that's actually working with Rotary International itself is going to start featuring the EmeraldPlanet television programs that we've been creating since 2009. And so we're very proud of this, that Rotary has stepped up to supporting the environment. They actually started by allocating $18 million to do this. They're not sure exactly how they're going to be able to sponsor this and provide these funds throughout the world of Rotary, but that's something they're definitely working on. But you can see the other focus areas at those: promoting peace, fighting disease, providing clean water, and of course sanitation is part of that, maternal and child health, literacy and basic education, and education community development. And we invite any of you that are watching this webinar, this presentation through the Rotary Club, that if you're working in these areas and they are directly related to the environment or climate change, please let us know, because we've provided hundreds of different television programs in many of these topics that you're looking at here. This is something that we did recently, and I think past President George Stanley, I believe, is on here as well. Both of those gentlemen worked with us, and this is called Creating a New Generation of Environmentalists for Nigeria, the African continent, and the world. And we want to do the same thing in India and all 212 other countries around the globe. But they've been very involved. You can see these project managers, young talent in their 20s, 30s, 40s. Most of them are university educated, standing above Abuja, looking down into the gray soup as far as air is concerned. And we're going to show you how EmeraldPlanet is actively working with the central government of Nigeria and the city of Abuja and the Abuja Technology Village and many other groups to try to clean that air. But one of the things that the Abuja Ministry Hills Club has been very active in, of course, is not only education, but also tree planting throughout Abuja. And so this is a very fine project, and we were pleased to work with past President George, International Service Director Stanley, and the clubs there in that Rotary District 9125. This is a program, and you can see the title at the top: Learn, Cook, Live, Plant and Tree Based Food to Save Humanity, Save the Planet. And so the whole thing is how do we have good nutrition, increase the food supply for the world, stop waste, but move more to the vegetarian and vegan diets. Much of that, of course, is very popular and very historical as far as the country of India is concerned through the various religions you have there. But this is something now that has become a great environmental concern, is how do we produce a plant-based food and reduce the amount of animals on the planet and their overuse of water, grasslands, and even the production of grain, which could go to human consumption instead of to animal consumption. But this is another topic, and we've done a number of programs and even provide the recipes. This is in East Africa. This is in the country of Kenya. This is one of their clubs there. This is the Rotary International and WashRag. That's Water and Sanitation Rotary Action Group. And what it's going on both for clean water and sanitation in East Africa. And there's 4 different projects, very different through this Rotary Club. And this Rotary Club is absolutely amazing how it's been involved in so many projects. But in each one of these, they had international districts and funding coming out of Germany, the United States, Canada, for these different projects. And so you see the project team these are all Rotarians, and very proud of their work as they're out in the countryside in Kenya, in Western Kenya, looking at one of the Rotary projects. This is actually right across the river from Washington, D.C., and I purposely, we're mixing up these images and the programs so you get an idea of the diversity of the television programs that we are creating. This is wetlands and habitat restoration and water quality for local communities and the Chesapeake Bay. Chesapeake Bay is one of the largest inland water bodies on the east coast of the United States. Very important as part of the streams that are running and flowing into the Atlantic Ocean. And so you have the Appalachian chain of mountains, roughly 125, 150 miles from the sea, flowing through downtown Washington, D.C. You can see the water body here, and going into the Chesapeake Bay and out into the Atlantic Ocean. And so these are local citizens that volunteer. This is a cleanup day at this what's called 4 Mile Run Park. And then the lower picture, they're actually cleaning the river and the streams. And you can see this is in a very urbanized, built environment, but yet in many ways you think you're out in the middle of the countryside somewhere, one side of the river, heavy vegetation, and much wildlife, and behind it you can actually see the power plant. This is looking at pandemics. This is a howler monkey. Research is being done as far as Ebola is concerned, and also how the spread of pandemics happen, just like the COVID-19. And this is George Mason University. It is now the largest university in Virginia, about 36,000 students. And I know by Indian standards, that's probably a mid-sized university, because I've been on some university campuses in India where you have over 100,000 students. But this university is what you call a major research and teaching university, looking at pandemics, the environment, and sustainable resilience. So they have teams going all over the world studying. This is actually in the rainforest of Brazil, this photograph, and you can see the backdrop that we've been using as far as whereby.com, which is the television program software that we've been using to interact with people. And all of our interviews now since March the 18th, 2020, have been distant interviews where we're using our software. I'm actually sitting in my virtual TV studio as I'm talking to you at this very moment. And this is where we conduct all of our TV interviews. Soon they may be opening our television station, but it's going to be a slow opening. And so we may not be able to move back in there until after January of 2021. But we have our virtual television studio. We set it up within 8 days, with a full studio of the lockdown, March the 12th. And we've been functioning very well ever since. But this will give you an idea of the diversity of the television programs. This is something that I'm very much involved in. I'm on the board of the National Natural Partners, which is actually a North American program, Canada, the United States, and Mexico, for the protection of the monarch butterfly. These are students. We have 50 schools now in the Washington, D.C. area that are called the Next Generation Science Standards, NGSS. And what this is about is preparing future generations to be the leaders, both in science and environmental protection. And we're using the monarchs as the lead pollinator, the king and queens of pollinators, as we call the monarch butterfly. But also we take groups every year to Mexico, to the UNESCO World Heritage Site, to visit the monarchs. But we start right here with these children. And then if you could see in Mexico, we have Mexican children on the other side are doing the very same thing as putting in the what they call the monarch way stations and the ways to protect the monarchs, to move them from the lower Canada into Mexico. But this is the only pollinator that actually travels across 3 countries and over 3,000 miles. Just absolutely amazing. But you can see the wonderment of these children and the scientific studies. And we've had this program on EmeraldPlanet TV a number of different times from different perspectives. This is a very interesting program that approached by one of the women we've been working with in Tanzania. But this is called African Titans, Women Transforming a Continent. We're doing at least a year-long series. We've already had 3 episodes of this, and it's amazing the women that are involved across the African continent. And so we're looking to have at least one African Titan from each of the 54 nations of Africa. And we'll be doing the 4th episode in October. And these women are absolutely amazing. And this is something, VJ, that we could certainly do for what you're doing there in India and many other countries. I'm going to end with this particular program that we had on and April the 15th, 2020. And we're collaborating with Magnific, the ATV, which is the Abuja Technology Village Free Zone. This is a new city that will have manufacturing, universities, healthcare, research centers, small shops, living for almost roughly 1 million people. That's amazing. This is a project that EmeraldPlanet is actually working with and on 1 million people, collaborating with Africa Kilowatt as the funding source to eliminate dirty diesel in downtown Abuja, Nigeria. So if you can imagine, this is the electrical grid that you have in Nigeria's capital city. About 85% of the electricity is produced through these diesel belching generators. And that will show you what the grid looks like at one right now. And so going forward to this is what's going to be built within 15 minutes drive of the international airport in Abuja. And it's about 15 minutes from downtown shopping. This is actually 640 hectare site. Most of the infrastructure has already been built. And this actually, they're already starting to put up the first buildings there. But the roadways, the internet connections, fiber optics, everything is actually already there. We had this actually on our television program, again, about the EmeraldPlanet. And this is all going to be powered by solar clean energy. And that's what's even more amazing. And they mandated within this park that there'll be no diesel generators, actually no generators of any kind, except for hospitals and other public healthcare facilities, but that's it. And those will be all by natural gas, so there'll be no diesel used in this entire site, which is actually, I figured out, it's about 2,140 acres when you convert from the hectares. So it's an amazing site, but everything will be produced by solar electricity, and then it'll be stored and back up a huge battery facility. And so this is to provide electricity on a 24/7, 365 basis. And this is what some of the solar arrays will look like. Again, this is part of this project that's being covered on the EmeraldPlanet TV to share around the globe. But this is totally unique. This will be the first of its kind ever built on the African continent of the 54 nations. And actually, this may be the largest and the most unique project anywhere on planet Earth right now, regardless of whether it's on the African continent or elsewhere. But these are the kinds of projects that we're looking for as far as covering on the EmeraldPlanet TV to share around the globe. And the whole thing about it is to share those best practices, collaborating with Rotary clubs in all the different 200 different countries and territories where Rotary exists, to show what can be done. And we provide the contacts at no cost if people are interested to be in contact with any of the providers of the technologies, the services, the products, the processes, and the people, as we say. And so VJ, I'm going to turn it back to you for any questions that your people may have, and the viewers. So I'm here to be with you as long as you want me to be here. But thank you for letting me be here with you. Again, Dr. Sam Hancock of EmeraldPlanet International Foundation and the EmeraldPlanet TV. And we're now collaborating with probably at least almost 2,000 different organizations across the globe, profit, nonprofit, research institute, universities, you name it, we're doing it. So VJ, back to you.
Yes, President, please continue.
And Mr. President, back to you as well.
Thank you, Dr. Sandil. It was such an extensive outreach of various projects that you are involved with you and your company is involved. So it was very impressive. And surely there are going to be a lot of questions with all the participants today. So I now ask our past president, Vijay Keval Ramani ji, to please moderate the question and answer session. Vijay, over to you.
Thank you, President. Now, if anybody has any questions, friends, please raise your hands and we will ask you to speak. I think Rotary Angari had raised a hand earlier. If you have any questions.
And VJ, you may want to listen, and if I can't hear very well, because some of the voices are quite muted, even though they're coming through the microphone, you may have to repeat it. I can hear your voice very clearly.
Yeah. Rotary Angari, you wanted to ask a question? Kindly unmute and ask. Anybody else would like to ask a question? Kindly raise your hand so we can. Rotary Philip, President Philip, you want to ask something?
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to understand. I don't know whether you spoke about it, but I want to understand a bit well, the concept of virtual television, how they really operate. I didn't join from the beginning, so I don't know if you spoke a bit about that. I want to understand that concept a bit more. Thank you.
This is about the EmeraldPlanet TV. You're asking about how we operate?
Yes, you said you operate virtually. What's
Yes,
the difference
okay.
between? Yes.
How we're doing that, we have our own television studio, which is a standalone studio that's in Falls Church, Virginia. But with the pandemic, everyone was shut down. And so we decided that we were going to stay open. And so we finished our last program on March the 11th about the pandemic and how you could improve and protect yourself and your family, also your companies. The 12th, we received the quit notice that everything was locking down in the United States. The 13th, which was Friday, we started moving the lighting package and ordering all the equipment we needed for our own virtual studio. So what we did is we went from a brick and mortar studio and TV station in Fairfax to a virtual studio within 8 days. And so on that Friday, the 13th and Saturday, the 14th, I ordered the computer I'm using right now. We identified all of the software we needed to do our own television production. The lighting, I ordered the backdrop that's right behind me right now, and it's reverse. So I have one side with all of our logos and names, the other side as you see it right now, because we virtually loaded our logos into our computer. So it's part of our software when we do our interviews on Whereby. So having the software, at the same time, we identified a Norwegian software called whereby.com, WHEREBY.com. It was a brand new software. Virtually no one had ever heard of it in the United States. One of my ID people had found it, experimented with it. And so what I do is if we're having a television program, I will send you the whereby.com link at the appointed hour. Actually, you'll just click on that link and you'll join me instantly. So if PP George and Stanley are here from the Abuja Ministers Hill, they can tell you it's quite easy, but you do have to have good internet connections. That is a challenge in some countries. But when you click on that link that I send you for the whereby.com, you literally will be sitting right beside me in my virtual studio. So I see, is that Sanjay? Right now is in front of me. And PP VJ, they would click on the whereby and they would instantly be in my studio. And this can happen in the Arctic Circle, Antarctica. We've done interviews just about everywhere on planet Earth, 103 different countries. And so it works very, very well. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a very simple process, and we do it as a public service, and that's even more amazing to most people because many television programs like us charge $25,000 US to do one program. We will actually do the interviews at no cost, and then we post it on our YouTube account, on our website. So if you go to our website, www.emerald-planet.org, click on TV programs, you'll see the TV programs there. And then also we put it on Facebook, and then we send it to you as a free link, and you can put it on all of your social media, just like George and Stanley now have sent it to all the Rotarians and Rotary District 9125. And this is, I believe, going out to your Rotary District. But we make all of our links available totally free. We just want to get the information out to the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Sam. Kedarnath, you have a question, kindly, please.
Yes. First of all, awesome sharing. What I was looking for in a country like India, which is so widespread, and the concerns of environment different from different biogeographical zones, and we have a very strong Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. And how do we link the various government institutions with Rotary and with Emerald TV? And that link, if it is established, probably sharing of various environmental concerns can come out very, very easily. Secondly, what is happening is we have a strong environmental impact assessment regime. And there are areas, for instance, the Western Ghats, which has been identified as a UNESCO heritage site. So is it proper, a natural site? Is it possible that we can look at these issues and identify from small NGOs or groups like Rotary who are working to highlight the problems and come together so that we know that these are the major concerns? So that is my question. How do we take it forward?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Actually, I've been around your country 4 times now, literally around the whole country. And I was there just 2 years ago, and actually I was to be back this spring. We were invited by Prime Minister Modi to come and meet with him in New Delhi about water, wastewater, and green food production. That we still have our invitation. I have my visa to visit India once the restrictions are lifted.
Most welcome.
But I was there. I did 32 television shows in India. Started in Barabanki in Maharashtra state at their annual agricultural fair. I did a series of interviews there. And the amazing thing about that is there was almost 490,000 farmers in that event over 4 days. And so I had a chance to get around and meet many people. We conducted the television interviews right there on the site. I was in 6 states and 8 major cities and many dozen, maybe 50 small towns conducting the interviews. But going to your main point, how do you link Rotary, the government, and TV together? Actually, we find that very easy because the government is engaged in many different projects. It really has a role to play to better the environment, but the quality of life for all citizens. It's a mandate that the government has. It collects its taxes to do those things. And there's thousands, there's 35,000 different Rotary clubs worldwide, all engaged in projects. And so what we're doing is we're trying to find those projects. We're not identifying the problem. We know what the problems are. What are the solutions? So the EmeraldPlanet is the only program that we know of on planet Earth that just totally looks at solutions and best practices. That's all we look at. And we would say that's all we look at. Through that, of course, we're identifying that problem. It could be a local issue. The wells are contaminated with arsenic or lead or whatever it may be from a polluting company. But we have the technologies that actually can take and purify that water, and with a small machine that can be solar powered. It's about the size of maybe 2 kitchen tables. And from the pump to the faucet at the end of that pump, maybe it's 6 feet, 2 meters. In that period of time with that filtration system, the water comes out is absolutely 100% pure. And so that's just one of thousands of different technologies we've identified. Sure. And if you look at our website, we have listings for maybe 2,600 different best practices, and we're constantly updating that list. So we're actually acts as in a sense, a catalyst, because we work on projects like this in Abuja. We're officially a part of helping with that project with the Abuja Technology Village. We're working on a special housing project in North Carolina and near Camp Lejeune, which is a large U.S. Marine base, for building 12,000 new tiny homes, which actually can be off grid, and then every small project in between. But we're here to share the information, the technologies, and allow people to be linked together across the globe, because just like that tree planting that I saw and in northern India, I'm using that technique now here in Washington, D.C. Very simple. You just dig the hole deeper, put the tree lower in the ground, and then the rainwater, the storm water then can flow to the tree instead of repelling the water from the tree as we normally have been doing it in the United States. So this is something that I'm teaching and showing on EmeraldPlanet TV. So we got technologies, services, products, and processes. So we do everything to link that and make that available worldwide.
So for instance, in the urban India, especially the water sector, I see primarily three issues. One is the contamination of the natural water bodies, that is the rivers, ponds, lakes. That is one part of it. The second one which is happening is the groundwater extraction. Though you have a central government agency and the state government agency to regulate the groundwater extraction, but in some cities and some areas, they're so over extracted that we are hitting the bottom towards the salinity. The third one which is happening is we have a regulation and we have the policies in place for rainwater harvesting. Unfortunately, they have not been implemented to rejuvenate the groundwater or the ground situation. For instance, Mumbai, we are on a wetland, and rainwater harvesting and recharging the water wells may be a major issue. But there are other parts, for instance, in Tamil Nadu or in Rajasthan, or say in Delhi, there are great opportunities, or even in central India, Madhya Pradesh, and all those things. But we have not been able to do it. So, and media coverage in these kind of environmental and social, and I would say socio-political issues are not being highlighted. Would that be an area of interest for the Emerald to take it further?
We do not involve ourselves in politics in any way, nor religion. We're looking for best practices. So if you go to our EmeraldPlanet website, and I'm going to put the website link back up on the screen, but we are actually covering that project and that concept across different parts of the United States. California now is investing $6 billion a year in the water harvesting and the groundwater recovery. And if you walk right out from my virtual studio at this very moment, you'll see 3 rain gardens that I have in my backyard. And we planted 7 new growth native species trees. And so I'm doing the water capture, sequester, and storage actually at my home. And there's 1,000 homes in Washington, D.C. It's doing that. This is called the River Smart Homes and River Smart Communities projects. Washington, D.C. is the leader in that. California, on the other hand, is doing it from large-scale agricultural uses. $6 billion a year for 10 years, that's 60 billion US dollars. And what they're doing is, again, to capture, process, and sequester that groundwater to raise the water tables, massive planting of new trees, but it takes the political will to do that. And that's why we have been invited by Prime Minister Modi and then his new minister for water and sanitation and infrastructure to come and talk about the projects actually that we've been able to identify through the EmeraldPlanet TV, and then what links could we provide to the government and to NGOs in India to use, because we definitely have those links, but they're already on our television programs, and you can go and watch them. And it'd take you about a lifetime to do that, to see them all. But you can do a search on stormwater, groundwater, there's different names given to that. But that's a huge issue in India. And also one of the other projects that we've covered in India, not only the water capture, because we did that in Rajasthan, we went to areas where they're actually doing that, capturing, putting the, rebuilding the aquifers in the dry riverbeds and river streams. Very innovative project. But anyway, there's lots of ways of doing that. But again, it goes to the political will. And that would have to be done by people within your country. EmeraldPlanet can't do that because we stay out of politics.
Yes,
but we want to report the best practices. Let's go to another guest. Vijay, let's have another guest.
I think the questions are over. I would like to thank you, Dr. Sam, for answering the questions very beautifully. I would hand over to President Tej for further proceedings.
Okay, we're finished. Okay. Can we put up our link as far as the website for people to write that down?
Just 1 minute.
Let me get back to share.
Just 1 minute, we'll put it. I'll just write it.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, President, please continue.
We would like to share the presentation certificate of appreciation from Rotary Club of Royals towards Dr. Samuel.
Yes, I thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Samuel, for the wonderful presentation. And we really appreciate your time and the information that you shared with us. Thank you so much.
This will be emailed to you, Dr. Samuel.
Yeah, thank you very much for this. Also, too, the PowerPoint that I have, I sent that to Vijay, and I don't know if he's distributed to your members or across the district, but that can be sent anywhere that you would like, because what we'd like to do is use that as an outreach tool to identify more clubs and more districts that would have green projects. And if they can send information to me about that and identify themselves in the subject line as being part of a Rotary Club or a Rotary District, and they have a green project they would like to propose, we'll certainly follow up directly with them, or we can go back through past President Vijay, or however it's best for you.
Yeah, I will circulate. Yes, President.
I would now like to ask Rotary President, Rotarian Mr. Sandeep Dhotare to please give the vote of thanks.
No, Sanjay has to give.
Sanjay, sorry.
Thank you, President Tej, for giving me this pleasant task for giving the vote of thanks. Dr. Samuel, it was a wonderful experience to hear you on the topic, the world of Rotary network in the supporting environment through the EmeraldPlanet TV. Once again, thank you so much for a wonderful knowledge sharing by you today. I would like to thank all the dignitaries and the guests present here from District 3142 and also from other parts of the world. It was a pleasure having you here. Thank you. I hand over back to President Tej.
Thank you, Sanjay. It is now time for the secretarial announcement. So please, Secretary Umesh, please do the needful. Secretary Umesh.
Thank you, President Tej. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes. You are.
Yeah. So friends, I'm happy to announce that today we had attendance of more than 50 people on Zoom as well as live on YouTube. So that's a good number. And in total, there were participation from almost 26 plus clubs, which went to a total number of 50 total participants. Apart from attendance, I would like to announce our next meeting, which will be held on 14th of October at 7:40 7:45 p.m. onwards, India Standard Time, which is our second friendship exchange meeting with Rotary Club of Edgware and Stanmore, where we'll be having speaker Rotary International Director-elect Elizabeth from Zone 30th and 31st. We'll be honored to host her as a speaker, where she'll be talking on the topic, the power of we is within us. So friends, be with us that day. It will be a great fellowship program. I welcome you all. Apart from that, our club is involved in few other meetings in recent days, out of which the first one is, which will be held on 9th of October, which is Pantakshari, where people or Rotarians from Zone 1 of District 3142 will be involved in a Antakshari event where people will be competing with each other in singing songs and etc. Where our club has co-hosted, and the event has been organized by Thane ASS, which is an event of 11 clubs from the district. So it would be a great fellowship event. We'll welcome everyone over here and also the members from our club. Apart from that, there is a district event which is happening on 10th of October at evening 5:30 p.m. where district will be felicitating all those clubs who have received RI citation for the year 1920. So that's all from the meeting perspective. Now, enough of serious business. There are some happy announcements which are to be made, where we have three happy announcements. First is one of our member, Mansukh Waghela, is celebrating his birthday on 8th of October.
I think Tej is disconnected. You can continue, please.
He's not online, right?
No, he's not online. He's disconnected.
Okay. So that's it. I hereby adjourn the meeting now. Thank you.
Sir, everybody can join for fellowship. Dr. Samuel, now you can share the link, please, for everybody.
PP Vijay, this is Hariom Sesta from Nepal. Thanks for the invitation.
Welcome, sir. Welcome as always.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Sir, if you can put your WhatsApp number, so I will be in touch with you regularly, Dr. Hariom.
Fine. Okay, yes, I will do it. Thank you.
Anybody can note down these contact details.
Did we proceed or?
Yeah, we have adjourned the meeting because I think you were disconnected.